Okay, friends, let's go ahead and get started with this. I want to introduce the topic of surveillance in marketing and the ethics of surveillance by looking first at the behemoth company that's at the center of the controversy, and that's Facebook. Facebook was founded in February 2004 by Mark Zuckerberg and some of his college roommates. If you've seen the movie Social Network, you know about the origins. He steals the idea from some college friends at Harvard who have hired him to make them a website that's more or less Facebook, and he builds one for himself and basically steals the idea and then informs them afterwards that he wasn't able to do their code even though he's built it for himself already. Okay, as of June 2017, it had over 2 billion monthly active users. That number has since increased. $27 billion in annual revenue as of a couple years ago. That number has increased as well. It is the largest social networking site in the world with subsidiaries that include Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus Rift. Okay, do I have any WhatsApp users here? Few of us. Okay, WhatsApp is more popular outside of the United States, but it is used by Americans. Although Americans prefer other kinds of chat apps generally to WhatsApp. Okay, Facebook actually is in decline among young people. It's very much in the ascendancy among older people, but the young people kind of don't seem to want to be on the same social network as older people. You know, you don't want grandma to be able to like see what you're saying to other people, and so you get on your own network. All right, Facebook, though, collects info about your photos, including where you took them. Facebook knows where virtually every one of its users is at any time. It collects info about what types of internet content you use and how often you use it. Okay, it collects your location and personal info from the device with which you log on. When you use a device for Facebook, the company can tell what settings your device has, what type it is, your ISP, your phone number, IP address, etc. When third-party sites contract with Facebook, Facebook can collect data about sites you visit that aren't explicitly Facebook. Okay, so they know what other sites you're visiting on the net. They use the data to feed their algorithms and to show users relevant advertisements. So I should mention that Facebook has two primary sources of revenue. The lesser source of revenue is direct advertising on the Facebook platform itself or on one of their subsidiaries, Instagram, etc. Much more lucrative for them, though, is collecting user data and then selling packages of user data to companies that are trying to advertise to those users, okay? Because the user data is very, very valuable these days. Even after user Facebook profiles are deleted, users' information is retained by the company until we no longer need the data to provide products and services. That's from the website. I think the translation there is forever, because I really doubt if they ever delete anything. These data collection methods also are practiced by companies that are owned by Facebook, such as Instagram and WhatsApp. Facebook's information is shared with vendors, service providers, and other partners who globally support our business. That's from the website. Facebook has advanced and improved its data mining over the years. For instance, here's one example of that. In 2016, the company created 6 new emojis. Facebook uses, so these are the emojis. They did this so that they could, their algorithms were not as granular as they wanted them to be in understanding users' emotional profiles. So they wanted users to give them more information about their emotional profiles. So they gave users more emotional options in responding to each other's posts so as to form a better profile of each user's emotional framework and outlook on life, so as to have a better and more granular data package to sell to marketers. Facebook uses data gathered from the new emojis to alter your news feed and to learn more about your life, your likes, and your dislikes. Every one of your likes, shares, or clicks provides Facebook with more data to feed its algorithms. They also, of course, use facial recognition. When uploading a picture, you'll see suggestions of who to tag in the picture. My mother has never been on Facebook and does not have a Facebook account. However, there are many pictures of her on Facebook which have been uploaded by other people over the years. So Facebook is actually aware of her, of who she is, and knows a lot about her, even though she's never actually been on Facebook. How much does Facebook know about us? Well, Facebook tracks and predicts our moods. They know when we tend to be hungry or tired. They know when we need money or have rocky relationships with our friends. Their algorithms can tell with accuracy where our relationships with our significant others are heading. They can predict also when or if we will become engaged, including a timetable. So if, studies have been done, and Facebook is actually better than people themselves are at predicting whether their relationships are headed for success or failure. Okay, apparently Facebook's algorithms are superior to the people's own predictions. Social scientists estimate that Facebook knows more about each of us than our closest friends, including often our spouses or significant others. Okay, there are certain benefits to data mining. This allows consumers to see advertisements for products or services that are more relevant to their wants. Okay, so instead of seeing random ads on your Facebook profile in your news feed, you can now see relevant ads. I'm a very rare Facebook user. I log on about once a quarter probably, but I see college textbooks constantly advertised to me, so that's apparently who they think I am. That's pretty accurate. Law enforcement can also utilize Facebook to detect illegal activity. And that's not just for the idiots who post their criminal activity on Facebook. Sometimes people will murder other people and post videos of it on Facebook and the like. Okay, which is like, I mean, don't murder, but like don't post it on social media. That's stupid too. Beyond that, law enforcement can actually detect illegal activity even when people aren't explicitly posting. It's also easier to raise public awareness about criminal situations. More benefits of data mining. Well, Facebook's data collection technologies enable it to monitor emotional and physical health across the globe. Facebook has better information than any other agency. This includes government agencies all over the world. They have better information than any other agency about outbreaks of illnesses or diseases, flu, cold, strep throat, etc. Okay, so they can follow the spread of COVID. They know exactly when and where it's going, better than governments do. Recent technology has also enabled Facebook to detect suicidal thoughts or threats of personal harm. They are also able to detect other threats such as bullying. How does the public feel about Facebook's data mining practices? Well, many are concerned, and when I say many, I should say people over 40 tend to be pretty concerned. Okay, people our age and younger aren't concerned at all. That's what the surveys have suggested. Okay? People over 40, especially once you get into the 60s and 70s, they think that these are violations of their privacy, and they find it deeply disconcerting. Okay, but people who are 20, having grown up with the internet, they know the internet's a glass house, everything you do on the internet's always tracked, they tend not to be as concerned about these kinds of things. Okay, those who are concerned especially don't like Facebook allowing its researchers to manipulate their news feed without their knowledge or permission. Facebook has done studies, apparently by manipulating people's news feeds over time. They can actually alter people's political opinions by showing them only certain kinds of stories, etc. Okay, most users also feel that Facebook doesn't clearly specify their privacy settings. Facebook has repeatedly lied about their privacy settings, and then they backtrack and hide behind an army of lawyers when they're caught lying, and they reformat their privacy settings to make it more difficult to understand precisely what they're data mining. Others are also worried that Facebook's vast data collection could fall into the wrong hands, or that Facebook could begin using its vast data collection for more nefarious purposes. Okay, there are pros and cons then of data mining. I should mention this one, I haven't mentioned this one so far. Data mining is a main source of Facebook's revenue, so Facebook is usable without a monetary cost. I primarily use Facebook to keep in touch with old friends who I would not otherwise keep in touch with. Okay, maybe friends from college who I barely have contact with, I have some contact with, but I mean, I want to maintain some contact with them because I do, I want them to, like, they're friends. And Facebook enables me to do that. I wouldn't be able to do that if Facebook cost money because I probably wouldn't spend money on it. Et cetera, okay? And then there are disadvantages. Let me put up here on the board. Let's keep this presentation in mind. Let me put up here on the board maybe a hierarchy of data collection practices so we can begin to think about what and why we think that certain things are acceptable for data collection and maybe others aren't. Okay, so I'm going to start from least objectionable and go to most objectionable. Okay, least objectionable, social media posts. Almost everybody would say that what you post on social media is fair game for data collection. Okay, less defensible tends to be other people's posts about you. Okay, there are still other kinds of data collection methods that they employ. Things like location. They know which stores you go into. They use the app on your smartphone to know this location, movement habits, etc. That tends to be a bit more objectionable in people's minds. Okay, medical records. This is something that Facebook, they obtain people's own self-reporting about their medical conditions, but they also contract with hospitals. And there are HIPAA laws that protect full disclosure of medical records, so what hospitals do is they give Facebook record troves that don't have people's names listed with the records that people have with those hospitals. And so that way they get around HIPAA, because Facebook can then identify those people on the basis of other identifying information that they've obtained from those people's online profiles. Okay, let's go down to something much more objectionable in most people's minds, real-life conversations. Maybe you've had a conversation with somebody. Maybe you were talking about football, your favorite football team, and later that afternoon you received advertisements for products related to your favorite football team. Well, it's because the app is loaded with a mic, and the mic listens to your conversations, and then that's recorded in your profile, and the things you talk about with your friends and family go into Facebook's data log. Okay, so let's start at the top, and let me ask. Maybe I'll ask like when people get off the train and what they find too far. Like what's too far? Social media posts, should that be fair game for surveillance?
Yeah, it's public.
Yeah, I think so too. I think if you're going to post it on social media, it's public, and like you should just assume that you want everyone in the world to know that if you're posting it on social media. What about other people's posts about you?
It's public for them.
Okay, public for them.
I mean, unless it's like
What about my mother, who's never been on Facebook and actually doesn't want Facebook to know anything about her, but there are things that the company knows about her because of what other people have posted?
That's
I think that's cost of living in society.
Cost of living in the society? Okay. All right.
if it's like slander, it could give right to sue or something. But besides that.
Okay, good point. What about, let's start to get into real life things. What about things like your location, your movement habits, the stores you frequent, the places you go to church, or the places, where you go in life, where your car goes? What about those kinds of things?
I think that's going too far.
Okay, so you get off the train there. Why is that going too far?
Because what if I don't want nobody to know where I am and it has my location posted?
Right.
So I think that's like, I don't know, safety habits and stuff like that. So
Okay,
I think
all right.
it's just going too far.
So for safety reasons, on safety grounds, once you cross out of the online world into the real world, and real world surveillance that's used through your online device, that's going too far for you.
You
Okay.
should have consent because let's say like you wanted to do a Fitbit, you have given them permission to do that. Without this, they can't do that kind of thing, like
Sure.
GPS coordinates. Or I have a sister, especially she can't talk. If she gets out, I get freaked out. It would be good to check.
Well, that's a great point. Is consent
Consent.
by using Facebook's devices or devices that have contracts with Facebook and give your information to Facebook, is that sufficient to justify Facebook knowing about your real life location or your movement habits or where your car's going and things like that?
But Facebook should be using
But by using Fitbit, aren't you consenting?
Only for Fitbit, not for Facebook.
But Fitbit has contracts with Facebook.
It should.
Well, I mean, what do we think?
It's
Is
like
that
a monopoly going.
is consent enough? Like, if by using the product, are you consenting explicitly or implicitly to Facebook knowing these things about you?
I think it needs to be explicit.
Explicit consent. Okay, all right, powerful. If some other people could hop into the conversation, what about medical records? Cool with all of that? Okay. Diana's like, I got nothing to hide. Cool. Why are you okay with medical records?
I'm okay with location, habits, medical records, because I feel like at this time they can only be used to help me.
Mm-hmm.
So like helping my algorithms, especially location, I do not mind being tracked at all. It actually helps me
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and instead of me searching for what I want, sometimes it just pops up. So I feel like that saves me time.
Sure.
As well as with medical stuff, just sending.
Helps doctors know more how to treat you
Yeah.
because they can assemble a larger profile picture of who you are and what your medical history is.
Or
Okay.
it just gives me a better idea also as far as to what to tell my doctor.
Okay. Good. I think that's a powerful case. Others? Are you guys okay with like universities making admissions decisions on the basis of data packages that Facebook gives to them about the profile picture that they've assembled of you?
Terrifying.
I still think medical records are going too far too.
Medical records is going too far? Okay.
I think that should like stay private. I don't think it should be on social media.
Okay.
I think it will encourage discrimination based on disability.
Yeah.
That's probably true. I think that's a good point. Yeah, because insurance companies are going to purchase, they are already purchasing data packages from the social media giants to discriminate against people who they think will be statistical liabilities to them as insurance companies and to reject them.
And also, you get really upset when people don't diagnose properly, but if Facebook has like more help, it seems like they're diagnosing without consent, and again, they're diagnosing, it might be wrong.
Mhm.
Like they might say, oh, this person's definitely suicidal, and the algorithm messed up.
Right? Yeah, their algorithms. Like sometimes, like for instance, I was researching dumbbells the other day because I want to like, I want to like, I'm not built or anything like that, but I just want to like use some, right? Well, Facebook starts giving me all sorts of bodybuilder ads and like creatine and all sorts of, ads for like supplements and stuff. And like that's going too far. So Facebook's algorithm messed up. Like they messed up. They thought that apparently I was like getting into bodybuilding when like clearly I
Or at
wasn't.
least they're
So
trying to influence you to go that route.
maybe that was part of the idea. I don't know. Okay, let's go to one last one. Actually, let me go to Diana. Are you cool with real life conversations?
I know that that's a thing, so when I don't want it to be heard, I make sure all the houses are put up.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay, you're cool with it.
Yeah.
Wow. Are others cool with it?
No.
No? Okay.
It's not cool, but like because you are using it, it's kind of really on you to.
Okay, you should police yourself, and if you don't want Facebook to hear, or, and I could reference Amazon or other kinds of surveillance marketers, you don't want them to hear, then don't say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially nowadays with like Alexa and Google just there.
Sure. And of course, we should know that even if we do decide to stow away our own smartphones, others have smartphones around us, so they hear through those devices as well. So it's not a choice, really. Okay, interesting. I'm really glad Diana's in the room, actually, because I think most people would actually get off the train up here. So I'm really glad that I got the case made for this being acceptable. Good. Any other comments about surveillance marketing or the ethics of this? This is a really controversial area of marketing right now, because there are some people who are, like Diana, just sort of like, this is the way the world is right now. If you don't want to say it, if you don't want them to know it, don't say it. Then there are other people who are totally freaking out and who are saying, hey, this is Big Brother who knows everything about me. If this is really scary, I don't have any area of my life that's not under this purview of the big media giants, right? That
Probably not bad
big
or
tech
not.
giants.
It could be abused very badly.
Could be abused, okay, if sold to the wrong vendor. Okay. if a potential boyfriend or girlfriend got hold of a data package. I don't know if they sell to individual users like that. Okay,